Welcome back to another video, and today's question will be, will the D-Rex, a man-made abomination, be able to survive in an island full of nature's abominations, this being Skull Island? Let's find out, shall we? So, what is the D-Rex? And what other creatures will it be going up against? That's what I'm going to be going about shortly, but first a quick reminder on the rules. Now, if he is able to go through on the creatures, he continues on. But at one point, if he has a higher chance of losing, I end it there, because if he has a higher chance of losing, he's just not going to make it through. So, for example, if he ended up going up against, I don't know, a very huge Phytodon, one of the creatures in today's video, and he got killed, or there was a higher chance he'd get killed than surviving, that would be the end of the video. But luckily that's probably not going to be the case, but I guess you'll find out, won't you? So what is the D-Rex? Well, a D-Rex is a mutation of a T-Rex, sprouting 4 arms because of it and 2 back legs. The first 2 pair of arms are normal T-Rex arms, having no mutations. The second pair are almost like gorillas, where they have a mutation that makes them walk on the 2 knuckles on their legs, with only 3 claws, almost being like the T-Rex has mutated those arms as well. But because of their immense size, they almost look sauropod-like. The back 2 legs are luckily that of a T-Rex, so it's not that different from the behind. It has a smaller tail to what the dinosaur is in terms of size, but overall it can balance alright due to it being able to knuckle walk. If not, it would just never be able to work. It also has a massive growth on its head. For what, we don't know. It's probably just a genetic mutation that happened when the dinosaur was born, but could very well be used for things like echolocation, although it did not show it. This is a light coloured animal that is mainly lightish brown with some dark browns in there, and actually more white underneath. But because the film was so dark, we didn't really see that. This animal was about 8.1 meters tall, which is very tall, and around 14 and a half meters long, which is very long for its size overall because of its tail. But that's not the end of it. It's also 17 and a half tons, at least more realistically. They tried convincing us that it was 10 tons, but it's very unlikely due to this animal being way too big, as T-Rexes in the wild, as far as we know, in real life would have weighed roughly around 12 tons at the largest estimate, and since this thing was a lot bigger than any T-Rex we know today, at least possibly there are researchers uncovering a T-Rex that might be bigger than any T-Rex we've had before, but as of now this is a realistic estimate in terms of size. This was a carnivore and definitely was not a herbivore, but was probably mutated by other genes, being from other things like maybe an orca whale for the growth on its head, or maybe a Titanosaurus, a gorilla, for the big chunky legs that make it knuckle walk. For whatever case, this is a big natural predator, and the biggest predator on land in Jurassic World. Definitely not in the water. With the only other bad thing about this animal being the fact that it might not be able to go out in the sun. You could see that it was clearly attracted to flares, and this may be because its sensitivity in its eyes is way bigger or better than any other animal, leading it to have pain when it sees light or be attracted towards light when it's in the dark. Although it could just be the T-Rex genes, as T-Rex in Jurassic Park are known for following flares and light shining that went in the dark, but since we didn't see it in the light, it's arguable either way. That's why when we do these fights, just to mention to you all, the fights will probably be in the dark or in a cave during the day. So, let's get right into the monsters. Just remember to like and subscribe, and take a look at all my other videos, since they are as entertaining, if not more entertaining than this one. Right, back to the video. So, in order of the things that the D-Rex will encounter on Skull Island, from the weakest out the 15 to the most strong, or ones I think will do best, are the Skinbird, the Savage Gnat, the Megapede, the Brutonus, the Lycoracutus, 100 plus Skull Island humans, 100 plus a Feroctocus, a Prianodon, sorry, 6 Venatosaurus, King Kong, Vistatosaurus Rex, well, 3 of them, and 50 plus sauropods, as we don't know how many there were. Right, so let's get started. And really quickly, I'd like to say, I know a lot of King Kong fans will be angry with the fact that King Kong doesn't scale above the 3 V-Rexes over Statosaurus Rexes, because King Kong did end up killing them in the movie, but that's only because they were nearby a cliff and he got the advantage because he's good with agility. If they were in a flat ground, the V-Rexes would probably just eventually tire out Kong, with maybe 1 or 2 casualties at the most. But I can definitely see Kong killing 1 or 2, but 3 is just a little bit of an overstep. But King Kong still definitely did well in this movie and deserved his right to be called King of the Island, as he is compared to any other creature alone, as 1 sauropod could probably be killed by him. So, let's hop right back into the video, shall we? May I quickly add that I will be using no difficulty, anything difficulty, slow difficulty, low difficulty, bad difficulty, mid difficulty, big difficulty, high difficulty, extreme difficulty, draw difficulty, and blood for blood difficulty. If you want to know what those are, check out my other 2 fighting videos. I explain what each one means. Alright, let's get right into it. The first one is the Skin Bird, and it's a no difficulty. If the D-Rex sees it and it starts annoying the D-Rex can just slap it once. Not even full force, just a little wipe like you do to an average mosquito, and it'll be dead. So, moving on. Next up is the Savage Gnat, and because the fact that a Gnat is basically a large mosquito and it could suck some blood from the D-Rex, maybe give it some sort of dinosaur malaria or hurt it for a bit, I'm just going to give it an anything difficulty, as it could do bit more than something, but it's barely doing anything, so anything difficulty for the Savage Snag, what was it again? Gnat. Yes, Gnat. Next up is the Megapede, and I'm saying go for it, as it does have poison, so it could hurt the D-Rex, but I highly doubt it's going to do much. At worst, it's going to do the same as the giant Gnat, so it's an anything difficulty, and the D-Rex moves on. But next up is the Brutonus, and it's also having an anything difficulty, as it won't do anything. It might annoy it, and at worst it might peck it or run into it full pelt, but because the D-Rex is able to stop a moving car, and this thing's probably 3 times lighter than a moving car, it's probably going to die, so yeah, D-Rex moves on anything difficulty. But now, next is the Licurocurrentis, you know, the Hadrosaur one. The one that kind of looks like the ones from Jurassic World. And you would be surprised when I say it's not an anything difficulty. I hope, I suppose. It would just be a slow difficulty, because it's going to do a bit more than nothing, as it's going to run around and maybe dodge a few D-Rex's attacks, but after a while the D-Rex will be able to just grab it and kill it in 1 hit. So actually it's going to be an anything to slow difficulty, as it could go slow, but if the D-Rex gets a lucky hit, it's instantly killing it. Next up are the Skull Island humans, 100 plus of them, and this is between bad to mid difficulty for the D-Rex. You might be thinking, well, these humans have spears and they have other weapons. Well, there's one thing they have shown us from this 2005 Skull Island movie that makes it quite clear for why they'd lose. They fear anything that's the size of King Kong or bigger. And just the fact that the D-Rex is quite a significant size bigger than King Kong really tells you that the humans at first are just going to be afraid. And they'd only start fighting back once a good 30, 40 of them are dead, and a good other 20 are in, you know, pain, broken arms and stuff. Because the D-Rex would most likely just swipe them all, because maybe he'd be afraid because of how many there were, or are. And to be completely honest, after a while, they would start throwing spears and stuff, but I think they'll just annoy the D-Rex. But eventually it would definitely tire out the D-Rex. After all, the humans are probably somewhat fast. Maybe not faster than the D-Rex, but they would definitely run away. So it'd take quite a while for the D-Rex to be able to kill. But that's why it's a low to mid difficulty, just because of the fact of how long it would take. And you would get hurt from the spears and other stuff, and little teeth necklaces that they have that they could scratch the D-Rex with. Yeah, but D-Rex moves on with bad to mid difficulty. Next up are 100 plus Tetromund and Dandrandax, and these are basically bats, but actually just rats, and they are omnivorous, which means they like meat and vegetables, and King Kong is getting through the mid difficulty, or mid to big difficulty. And the reason I say this isn't because they're going to hurt the D-Rex. At worst, they might give them a couple scratches and maybe one gash if they target the same area. 2 if they're doing really well. But just because of the fact that it will be insanely hard for the D-Rex to hit them, and it's really just going to tire out the D-Rex. And you could see things moving up the list, but it's mainly because of exhaustion so far. And this might carry on into the next one. But maybe after that it won't. Yeah, so it's a mid to big difficulty just because of the fact there's so many of them. And I say 100 plus, not 100, but 100 plus of them. Because they travel in huge massive pods. They actually hunt the first thing that we had on our list, that being the skin bird. So, moving on is the D-Rex, and it will now be going up against the chasm. The chasm is a place full of insects. That's literally it. It's full of leeches and other things like crabs in the walls, and the crabs grab you if you get too close. And the D-Rex isn't going to have much trouble. The only thing I could see actually hurting him in this one are the biggest crawling around insect, which they're not going to really do much. In fact, I think most of them are going to run away from the D-Rex because of its immense size, and the crabs in the walls, because they have pretty big claws that could gash the D-Rex skin, but the D-Rex is probably just going to bite one and drag it out of the, or maybe rip the arm off through the hole inside the chasm, and the crab will be done for. So yeah, D-Rex moves on, but this is just the same difficulty as the last one, as it's going to be as annoying to get every single insect. Or maybe not every single one, since they're all going to be, you know, crawling into nooks and cracks, but to get them all, to get a good majority of them. So yeah, the D-Rex moves on mid to big difficulty once again. Next up are the Phytodons, oh well, 2 of them. And yet again, it's a mid to big difficulty. And you might be thinking, it shouldn't even be that high, it should be low, maybe bad difficulty. And this is only because there's the fact that there's 2 of them, and they probably do have a nasty bite. They are related to crocs, surprisingly. I thought they would be related to Postasuchians, but oh well. But they have a gnarly bite, and it's pretty powerful. And it's going to hurt the D-Rex quite a little bit, especially if it gets on one of his knuckle walking hands. It could stop him from walking correctly for a couple of days, maybe more, maybe less. And just because the fact that there's 2 of them, they're going to be scurrying around if needed, and probably can dig their claws deep, it could end up being a big difficulty just because of that one reason. Mind you, I don't see that happening. I see it being a mid difficulty just because of the fact it might be hard to hit. But yep, D-Rex moves on mid to big difficulty. Next up is a Singulophorectus, which is basically a large Triceratops just without the extra horns. And yet again, it is a mid to big difficulty just because of the fact that in one hand he could hurt the knuckle, on the other hand he could just be stopped. So it's the same thing as the Phytodon basically, in terms of how he's going to be dealing with it. Just different sort of attack that does the same type of damage really. So D-Rex moves on mid to big difficulty. Next up is the Prianodon, and just because the fact that this animal is able to go on land for a bit, can weigh between 5 to 10 tons if a female, which is the one we're using, as males are smaller in the species, and delivers a nasty bite, better than the Phytodon, whichever way you like to say it. I'm going to give the D-Rex a big difficulty, better than a medium to big difficulty, just because of the fact that this big fish can actually bring the D-Rex onto its knees. Not into the water, it's not that strong, but it could surprise the D-Rex for sure. But D-Rex still moves on big difficulty. Next up are the Vanatosauruses. In fact, 6 of them. And I think the D-Rex is going to have a tough time because they're very agile and able to move quickly, and also are pretty fast. Not as fast as raptors, but still pretty fast. I went from Jurassic Park, by the way. This thing could probably jump on the D-Rex and claw and maybe even hurt the growth or bubble on its head. That's going to hurt the D-Rex quite a bit. And just because of that, I'm going to give it to a big to a high extreme. As if the D-Rex get lucky, he could just smash them all in a couple hits but still be scratched up, and he'd waste a lot of energy doing so. Or he could just do it the hard way, I suppose you could say, and you'd take a high difficulty due to the fact that he could dodge a lot of hits and hurt the D-Rex pretty hard. So D-Rex does move on to with a big high difficulty. Next up is the one and only King Kong, and this is where I think it gets a bit ugly for my D-Rex friend. Not as if it isn't already ugly. The D-Rex versus King Kong is a very good matchup. Both of them being knuckle walkers, just the T-Rex, not T-Rex, with 2 extra little arms. And to be completely honest, I think the winner with extreme to draw difficulty is King Kong. Now let me explain. I know the D-Rex has a massive weight advantage compared to King Kong, being way over, almost twice the size of King Kong in terms of overall weight. But King Kong's got such agility and even strength. I think they'd be on par on strength, if not the D-Rex being a little bit stronger. But King Kong's just able to climb on the back of the D-Rex and kind of just hit it to its death. And it has a lot more experience and is actually evolved to become a creature not scientifically made. So it would be a close battle, and King Kong might even die, or they both walk off from the battle. But I genuinely do think that King Kong, after a while, would tire out the D-Rex and land a couple final blows. So it's close between these two knuckle-walking beasts. But the winner, unfortunately for the D-Rex and this video, because there were 2 more things to go through, but since the D-Rex lost against King Kong, the video is finished. But I've obviously got something to say at the end, so stick tuned and wait for that, I suppose. Never know, might be a spoiler. So thank you all for watching my video. Please like and subscribe and comment. Any comments would definitely be put in consideration to become a future video. And just to make sure, remember to share, as it would really help out the channel. And I suppose until next time. And thank you all for being so supportive. Okay? Goodbye.